Hello, everybody. It's Friday, and that means it's time for another topic of the week. Begin with the standard preamble. Here we go. Thank you to everybody who submitted videos for last week's topic of the week, which was great. It was all about the the hobby and your hobby journey. There's a lot of great videos for that. I think I got them all, and they're all linked down below last week's video, which, as usual, will be linked down below this video. It's down there somewhere. You can see it. And if you click on that, you can watch last week's video and you can go watch all those other great videos. So, that out of the way, let's turn to this week's topic of the week. As I record this, Tom, my co-host from Warhammer Weekly, and I are just putting some finishing touches on our alpha of our Mordheim AOS edition. And part of the reason we're doing that is because I really love Mordheim. It's just one of my favorite games, period, of all time. Certainly one of my favorite incarnations of Warhammer. And so I thought that would be a fun topic of the week this week. Over the years, Warhammer, whether fantasy or 40K, has been expressed through a lot of different games besides simply the two sort of flagship properties, right? And most of us came to this hobby probably through one of the big games, or maybe through some other tangential, through one of the smaller games. And so what I thought it'd be fun to talk about this week is your favorite other Warhammer game besides Warhammer or Warhammer 40K. Basically, your favorite game besides the flagships. So Blood Bowl, Warmaster, Mordheim, Necromunda, Hero Quest, anything like that. All of those things that may have either been a gateway drug into the world of Warhammer or something that you discovered after you were already playing Warhammer and were looking for a different experience. Tom and I are going to do a full sort of hangout and video and Q&A, etc. about Mordheim, so I won't get too deep into it now, but just to sort of quickly cover why it's one of my favorite games of all time. At the time this game came out, I had been playing Warhammer Fantasy Battles, which would have been probably 5th edition at that time, and then maybe it was just transitioning into 6th. For several years, 3 or 4 years at that point, probably. I started around 97. And it was fun, and I liked it, but it required a real sort of commitment, right? Like Warhammer, one of the traditional aspects of Warhammer Fantasy in almost any edition is the raw commitment of the thing, which is great. It produces a stickiness and a passion to the hobby. But there's also a cost to it too, right? There's a lot of models. You have to paint a lot of models. You have to have a good amount of money, which certainly at that time when I was a poor college student, I didn't. And you have to have a lot of time to regularly get together with people and play. A single game takes, has always taken a considerable amount of time. Enter Mordheim, this small specialist game. It wasn't the first one published under that, and I know it was sort of built on Necromunda, which had come before it, but I was not familiar with Necromunda. I didn't yet play 40K at that time period. And Mordheim was just a complete revelation for me. It was the same world, but somehow darker. And it was this very small, intimate story of people scrabbling by in this city. And it was so personal, and it was so unlike any other sort of miniatures game I had played. And I had played Battletech and a couple others before that. But the nature of, I even played in long-running Battletech campaigns where I knew my pilot and I evolved my mech and all this stuff over time. But there was something so much more intimate about this. And I think it had to do with the fact that it was so easy to lose things. The game was brutal, but it had a lot of highs and a lot of lows, and they were both extreme. And I think that led to a real passion for it, because the memories of when things went really right were so visceral. The same with the lows. The problem with a game that produces a lot of very even experiences, with a sort of very balanced, predictable game, is that it really doesn't produce many things that are memorable. I can look at the experience and know what I'm going to get out of it at any given point in time. I found Mordheim to be completely not that. You could lose the game, but then roll great in the treasure afterwards and just have something amazing happen. You could win the game, but then have one of your critical heroes die or take a horrible injury. And naming each of these heroes and the groups of henchmen and over time and watching them fight through all these games and have these horrible losses and great victories made me really love and attach to this little warband in a way that I never did to my larger army. Not to mention the fact that it did, as I said, solve a lot of those time problems. You know, painting 12 or 13 figs is certainly a much lower commitment than painting 100 or 200. And you got to spend more time sort of modeling them and converting them, and you could use all this terrain. There's 100 good things to like about it. We did a paint episode all about it, so I won't reiterate all that. But in the end, I became more attached to this to the point where years later, I was still talking about Mordheim. I still kept, you know, sort of abreast of the community and community involvement with it. And when Age of Sigmar came out, Tom and I had been talking for months, even pre-rumors about 9th edition, or Age of Sigmar, way back pre-January, about doing an update to Mordheim because we loved it so much. And I think that when Age of Sigmar came out and it worked so well as this very simple skirmish game, it was easy to build Mordheim on top of it. So we'll talk a lot about that in the upcoming video we do. But that's why I love Mordheim. What I want to know from you is, what's your favorite specialist game or small game or other iteration of Warhammer? And by the way, I've mentioned a bunch of, you know, actual miniatures games, but if you want to do a video game or something like that, hey, I'm all for it. Whatever was one of the other ways that Warhammer was expressed that made you love the world even more, maybe see it differently, experience something new you hadn't been able to experience in the actual sort of flagship tabletop game. So, there we go. That's the topic of the week this week. Can't wait to see your responses. Comment down below or make your own video and send me about it. Send it to me or tell me about it. And I will, as always, put all those links down in the description of this video so you can see them. Thank you very much for watching. Look forward to your responses. And as always, we'll see you next time.